Welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC. I'm Dan Thomas, joined in the studio today by Ali Moreno and Steve Nicol. There is a Spanish flair to the show today as we welcome in Sid Lowe and Luis Garcia to discuss Robert Lewandowski's imminent presentation at Barcelona. He's due to be shown to the crowd on Monday. Luis, with your Barca ways, I imagine you're quite excited by this.
Dan, I'm very excited. It looks like everything that Barcelona was trying to make for the summer transfer is happening, and that's not something easy. I think that they are moving a lot of things around, trying to find a way to continue signing players, and we've seen Garcia arriving, that they were waiting on the line, and finally Lewandowski, that he was the last one to arrive, and it looks he's going to become the new Barcelona player, a centre forward that everybody was doubting that he could arrive to Barcelona after spending so many years at Bayern Munich. One of those special players because even though that he's got an age already, we all know, but I think he still can deliver a lot for this Barcelona side. Much more now that Rafinha arrived, that Dembélé stayed, and that you got Ansu Fati, Aubameyang, so many good players around that Xavi has to decide who are the ones who are going to start playing for this Barcelona, but definitely all of them with a lot of talent. Lewandowski, the last one to arrive.
Those stats are ridiculous when you obviously can compare it to the players that they already have. Can he emulate that sort of form?
I think
Barcelona?
so.
Yeah.
In the short term, for the next couple of seasons, I see this sort of production from Robert Lewandowski, and given what Luis just mentioned, the amount of talent around him in the attacking half. And we just pointed out sort of the frontline players. But think about what they have coming from behind. It's Pedri and it's Gavi and it's a whole lot of talent in players that are going to be able to keep possession and then put Robert Lewandowski in a position in which he can score goals. Those little runs, those in between the line runs that he likes to make, diagonal movement inside the 18-yard box, things that Barcelona hasn't had since Luis Suarez left. That's what Lewandowski is going to give you. The fact that he's going to score the goals, but then he's also going to give you movement off the ball inside the 18-yard box and a real threat inside the 18-yard box. They got some of that from Aubameyang towards the end of the last season, but obviously this is an upgrade. Lewandowski, a better player and a more productive player than Aubameyang. I see Robert Lewandowski having a huge season for Barcelona.
Hey, Sid, this is going to be fun, isn't it?
It's going to be amazing. I think it's really quite exciting, and I think La Liga probably needed this. Obviously, with the departure of Cristiano Ronaldo a few seasons ago, Lionel Messi last season, this feels like a player of that kind of calibre, of that kind of level, and I think it's very exciting. And I think it's important for Barcelona as well, because we talked about them improving significantly after the winter window last year, the improvement with Xavi, but this sense that this is a player that will add the effectiveness to the quality of their play. And while there is a doubt, of course, about his age, I think I agree that this is a player that, in all probability, will continue to score for the next couple of seasons. This is a guy, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think has scored 40 goals or upwards in each of the last 7 seasons. He's a phenomenal goal scorer.
Is age a concern, Stevie? 34 next month?
No, not at all. There's nothing to suggest that age is going to be any sort of effect on this guy whatsoever. I mean, football's a game that very rarely can you guarantee anything.
Right.
But I tell you what, this is about as close to guaranteeing as you can get with Lewandowski scoring goals. This team creates tons of chances, and this guy knows where the back of the net is. I mean, it's about as close to a guarantee. This guy's going to get at least 30 plus,
right?
And he could get his 40.
So Luis, Barcelona going to win the league now?
That is something that we just mentioned. I think Steve just mentioned very well. There is nothing guaranteed. You can have so many good players, but at the end you have to find the way that they connect in between them. We've seen Barcelona with Xavi working well last year, but it wasn't enough. And now they have arrived quite a few more very interesting players who can deliver, that have to adapt also to this system that is not easy. You have to understand the philosophy and the way that this Barcelona play. Sometimes keeping the position too much. You cannot just play around, but definitely with the talent they got, they are contenders. And we have to say it straight away, this Barcelona at this moment, with the amount of ability, talent, creativity they got up front, yeah, they're going to be ready to fight not only La Liga, but every single competition they go. Have a look to those 2 trebles that they got up front. It's just amazing, the amount of talent. So, yeah, fantastic to see this Barcelona as a contender for every trophy this season.
Are they favourites for you, Sid?
It's difficult to look beyond Real Madrid, I suppose, because of how easily they won the league last year, or the sense at least of ease in them winning the league last year. And it's difficult to imagine a team bridging that gap so quickly. That said, of course, we need to be careful about that analysis because that's based on an entire season. And certainly Barcelona from the back half of the season towards the end. I know they tailed away again in the last 3 or 4 weeks, but of course they beat Real Madrid in the Clásico 4-0. They had a series of results basically as good as Real Madrid from kind of the back end of January through to the start of May. And so you look at it like that and you think, and given what they've added, if they can integrate those players and if they can make sure that those players fit a system, that Xavi is happy with them and that they get up and running early and playing well from quite early on in the season, then I think we are definitely going to have a Barcelona team that competes for the league title next season. And to be honest with you, 3 or 4 months ago, we didn't think that was the case. Not just that they wouldn't win the league, but that we felt looking at them that they couldn't win the league, and they definitely can now.
Obviously, though, they need to sort everything out because you've got so many players here at the moment, Sid. There needs to be some that go through the exit door. We'll talk about De Jong in a minute. Memphis Depay is the latest one, apparently, who Barcelona want to get rid of. It's interesting because like 12 months ago when we were sat there at the Camp Nou, he was the only really shining star for Barcelona.
Yeah, he really stood out, didn't he, at the start of the season? And one of the reasons, and we talked about this earlier on last season, certainly the first 2 or 3 months of the season, that one of the reasons why he really stood out, it looked like he didn't care. He didn't care that the guy that was there before was Leo Messi. He didn't care that this was Barcelona. He didn't care that this was a club full of pressure. He would go through that. He had the strength of personality, the character to continue to perform. Now, of course, he's in a difficult position, which is that for all of those qualities and for all those things that he showed last season, maybe he's not a Barcelona player, at least under Xavi, and in particular with these kind of players ahead of him. You just showed it on the screen there, those 6 potential forwards, and of course that doesn't include him. You're looking at 2 basic forward lines, both of which are very strong, and he doesn't really have a place in either of them. Now, I personally felt last season that his best performances came when he was able to be, if you like, the forward off whom Fati played, and those two seem to combine really well. But I must admit, with the new arrivals, I don't really see a role for him, and we should never ever look at this beyond the economic side of things as well. If this is a player with a market where you can generate some money through his transfer as well as saving his salary, although saving his salary is not hugely important because he came last season on a relatively low salary. If you can generate some money through selling him, there's absolutely no doubt that Barcelona would leap at that opportunity if it arises.
12 months is a long time for Memphis Depay.
And you are so correct in bringing up the fact that when we sat at the Camp Nou and they were playing against Real Sociedad, opening game of the season, the first touch that Memphis Depay took on the ball, he showed forward, flicked the ball up in the air, and put it over the top of the head of the defender who was coming to challenge. And the whole Camp Nou was like, wait a minute, we got something here. We got something special. And for the first few weeks of the season, you were thinking, is this guy going to be good enough to carry the responsibility that somehow the conversation is no longer about Lionel Messi and it is about what the future of Barcelona is going to be with Memphis Depay? And now, 12 months later, he gone.
Yeah.
He gone because the math doesn't add up and really the space doesn't add up. There is no space for Memphis Depay and for his profile player. They're going to find him a new place. He's got to find a new place because otherwise he's not going to be on the field.
How do you deal with this from Xavi's perspective, Stevie? Because we talk a lot, don't we, about not only keeping the starting 11 happy, but those that aren't playing. And you've just got such an influx of attackers within this squad.
You can only be honest with him. You know, Xavi's made it clear that Memphis Depay is not in his plans. And I'm pretty sure Memphis Depay knows this.
Right.
You know, you bring in Aubameyang, that tells Memphis Depay straight away he doesn't particularly trust me. Now you're bringing Lewandowski in as well. So Memphis Depay should be sitting going, right, I just need to find a way out of here.
Yeah.
He's made it clear. And as I said, if I'm his coach, I'm saying to him, look, I think you can do good things. I think you're good at this, you're good at that, but you don't suit the way I want to play. And so, you know, I'll try and get you some games, but the truth is you're probably better off not being here. You know, you just have to be honest with a guy like that, because if you try and be clever and treat him badly or poorly, he might turn around and say, well, you know what, you lot need money. I'm going nowhere.
Right.
So it's not straightforward. You've got to be nice.
It is no secret, obviously, that Barcelona need money and need to free up spaces. Hence, Frenkie de Jong is someone that we've talked a lot about over the last few weeks in his future, Sid. What's the latest?
Well, look, it's difficult to give you a proper answer for the simple reason that Barcelona say publicly one thing and say privately another. And we've seen, of course, Laporta saying, I'm not in a position to be forced to sell him. I'm going to do everything I can to keep him. But, of course, privately they know that he is their best way of trying to balance the budget in terms of the financial fair play in La Liga, the salary limits. And because there's a couple of reasons for that. One, of course, is the size of the potential transfer fee for him, which is bigger than it would be for anyone else. And we're talking about the potential for an €85 million deal with Manchester United. And the other is the cost of keeping Frenkie de Jong next season, which is in the region of €40 million to keep him just for next season in terms of that cost. So he's a player that you really want to move on. If you do not move him on, then, of course, you're in a position where you have to find alternatives. Now, it's not impossible that Barcelona find alternatives, but it's incredibly difficult to do so. Now, a lot of the talk at the moment is, well, how are they going to register these players? Of course, at the moment they can't, but there's a long way to go and there's a lot of manoeuvring still to be done. But this deal is key. So the latest is essentially that Barcelona are in a position where they're trying to say to Frenkie de Jong, we really need you to go. And you need to go. But, of course, Frenkie de Jong is entirely entitled to say, I don't want to. He doesn't want to. So what's the alternative? The alternative is some sort of agreement over salary, which his camp say hasn't been asked of them yet, to make a huge reduction in the salary. But even that, of course, only goes some of the way. So Barcelona's ideal scenario is still that he goes. Now, there are two different things here, I think, that are worth pointing out from Frenkie de Jong's point of view. Number one, there is the basic question of, do you want to leave Barcelona? No, not really. Number two, in the event of having to leave Barcelona, or in the end kind of accepting this pressure, because he doesn't need to, but in the event of accepting this pressure, where would you go? And would it be Manchester United? No, probably not. This is a club that's not playing in the Champions League. And so at the moment, you're in a position where maybe you think between now and the end of August, which is still a very long time, what is it, 5.5, 6 weeks, there's still time to try and seek out other solutions. But right now, the position that Barcelona hoped they got themselves in, which was an agreement with Manchester United and some way in which Frenkie de Jong ends up accepting it, has not happened. The agreement with United is there, but you've got a player who doesn't necessarily want to go and certainly doesn't want to go just yet.
Luis, if you were Frenkie de Jong, what would you do?
It's difficult. I want to be where they want me. I want to be where I know that I have the people give me the value that I think that I have. I think he's a very important player. And even though that Xavi is mentioning that he's been playing, he knows that he's got two players in front, Gavi and Pedri, that probably they're going to have many, many minutes. And you just brought Kessie, that is a player who can play exactly the same way. He's the same the same style of player like Frenkie de Jong, a player who goes down. He's a box-to-ball player who can play as a holding midfielder, but also a player who likes to go forward. So I think the way that I've seen him play in the past couple of years, where he has struggled so much to adapt to this kind of football where you can move all around because you want it, is you have to keep the position, you have to wait for the ball to arrive, and then from there start creating. That's something that he wasn't expecting to do that, because at Ajax before, he had the freedom to go wherever he wanted, stay at the back or get the ball and start passing lines and going through lines with the ball because he's got that power. But he has to adapt so well to the system of Barcelona, to the way the Barcelona play. And at the moment, if he doesn't feel well, comfortable, the way that I've seen play in the past few months, you see that he's not happy. And if Man United continues signing players, showing that with Ten Hag, they're going to try to become a strong team, a team that wants to fight for everything, even though they're not going to play in European competition, I think that he might have to say, listen, you know what, I'm going to move forward. But what I heard, what I read is that Barcelona owns him a lot of money, owns him a lot from the past couple of years, and he's not going to be ready to just leave that or pass that and forget it. He's going to wait to see if Barcelona is going to compete with that and see what happens. If you give me that, I might go forward and move to the next and help you, because I know that you want me to move because you got enough players in the middle of the field so I can move to another team. But if I don't feel like that, I'm going to stay and see what happens with me. And then Xavi will have to manage the whole situation, because Gavi, Pedri, Kessie, and also Busquets are going to be the players. You got also Sergi Busquets that is going to be waiting for minutes over there, because he's a player who always can give you always something different. But Frenkie de Jong is going to be one more. I'm not sure if Frenkie de Jong is ready to be one more. I think he wants to be the main man in the middle of the park.
Is this it now, Sid, regarding Barcelona's transfer activity this summer? Well, certainly with players coming in. We've seen them linked with Koundé this weekend. But surely they've stretched everything so thin now, they can't stretch it any further.
I think, look, one of the key points to remember is to go back to something I said a moment or so ago. It's not over yet. So there is still 6 weeks to go in terms of trying to generate the funds that enable you to make these signings and get these players registered, because the players who've come in now can't yet be registered, and that includes, by the way, Sergio Roberto, who signed on a new contract. And so you're in a situation in which you can't do it, but of course this is based on a plan in terms of the incomings over the next 6 weeks, which means you will be able to. But I think there is definitely now a sense of taking their foot off the gas and being sure that they can make the deals that enable these players to be registered before they start looking towards committing money for other players. Now look, do they want Koundé? Yes, they do want Koundé. Did they want Bernardo Silva? Yes, they did want Bernardo Silva, but you have to be realistic about what you can achieve. Now, in an ideal world, Koundé would still come. In an ideal world, they would have a way of the amortisations enabling them to pay for him and get through the financial fair play limits. In an ideal world, you get a salary that you think is fitting with the new structure and you can work on that. But that, at the moment, depends on maybe activating the second economic leverage, which, well, I think definitely they will try and do that, which is of course to sell 15% more of the TV rights. Possibly, although they say they don't want to do it, the sale of the marketing arm of the club. And then, of course, in particular, from a footballing point of view and a cost of salary point of view, they need to be moving Frenkie de Jong and other players on. Now, Frenkie's not the only one, and there are others, and we've mentioned Memphis Depay, for example, but that needs to start happening, I think, before they start committing towards other deals.
And this is exactly the reason as to why it doesn't make sense to then spend money and invest money on two players who have a similar profile. In the case of Rafinha and Dembele. If you know that you are spread thin, then why two players that do a similar job?
Are you suggesting this plan isn't as sensible and polished as we think?
Well, I was hoping that because look, we have talked about the attacking half of this team, and yes, all those names are great, and how they are going to come together, that's something that Xavi's going to have to figure out. But it's scary what could possibly be going on in the back. That the answers are not quite there yet. You still don't have a credible right back. Yeah. Serginho Dest is not the answer for you. Sergio Roberto is not a right back. Ronald Araujo is not a right back. And you haven't figured that out just yet. And so that's why I don't quite understand that you go and spend money, fine. It's spread thin, fine. But if you're going to spend this money, then spread it around to the point to where you're able to cover as many holes as possible. Instead, you're trying to cover the same hole with two players.
Meanwhile, it's been relatively quiet for Real Madrid, hasn't it? But if I was to be still working at Real Madrid television, I would say that they've made an exceptional new signing this season because Eden Hazard is fitter than ever.
Hey!
That is what Carlo Ancelotti is saying, of course. Hazard, who has been an absolute flop since making that big money transfer from Chelsea. However, he's fit, Sid, and he's ready to go, apparently.
Well, look, let me try and answer this from a human perspective and a football fan perspective. I really hope so. I really hope that we can see some of the qualities that we know that Eden Hazard has. But I really hope we can see, even if it's just a small glimpse of the player that he was at Chelsea when he was absolutely outstanding. He's a fantastically talented footballer. Now, the cynic in me, or maybe the realist in me, says that we've heard this kind of thing before. If the solution is for him to play as a false nine or as a backup to Benzema, well, that in itself tells you that's not a huge amount of minutes. There isn't a natural role for him there. Maybe he can play on the right-hand side of that forward line, that position that we've talked about being one that they've had doubts about, whether it's Asensio or Rodrigo or Valverde. Well, you're still adding him as just one of four players for that position, and maybe the midfield will change shape this year. He's not going to start on the left because it's Vinicius, as I say. Up front, he would be as a backup. And it's just difficult to really give credibility to the idea that we can see the best of him. I would love it to be the case, and I really, really hope we're wrong when we're doubtful about this. But it just doesn't feel very likely, does it?
I think you've got to give him a chance, because the stats tell you that it's his body that's the problem.
He was given a chance last season,
but listen, from what we know, he's had plates taken out of his ankle. The problem he had in his ankle And I think of a player like John Barnes,
Right.
who played on the left-hand side, and people couldn't stop him. Same as Hazard. Tore his Achilles. Had to change his position. Came back, tried to stay on the left. Wasn't the same player at all.
Right.
Hazard is exactly in the same mould. So the fact that Ancelotti's talking about maybe we bring him in the middle and we can give Benzema a break and he can play through the middle. Why not give him a chance? Because, as I said, he's had this plate taken out his ankle. Give him an opportunity.
All right.
You just don't know unless you give it a go. So 6 goals in 3 seasons tells you he's had a physical problem. If that's fixed, you never know.
I love the optimism.
Yeah.
Well,
The positive energy from Stevie Nicol.
You want
the
Real
guys-
Madrid TV, Stevie?
Yeah.
The guy's got ability.
Can you bring Stevie back?
You cannot doubt the guy's got ability. And if he's gets himself in any sort of physical shape, he has to to do what he's done, he has to have a football brain as well.
Right.
So you try him in another position and hopefully it works
I
out.
can tell you this much. If you're a center back playing against Hazard right now, you are not scared of the possibility of him running in behind. You are not scared of the fact that he can take you 1v1 because he has refused to
Well,
do
you're
that
not
over the
scared-
last couple of
You're not
seasons.
scared of the old Hazard. You haven't seen the new one yet.
Oh, what do you think, Luis?
Eh?
This new improved Eden Hazard?
Listen, what I'm surprised is that Steve is mentioning about Hazard in the last 3 seasons haven't done much, and he was killing Dembele, who gave 13 assists last week. No chance for Dembele, but a lot of chances we have to see Hazard.
Well, hold on a second. There is a big difference between Dembele and Hazard. Hazard's been playing on one leg.
And Dembele,
I can assure you, it's a lot harder to play on one leg, Luis, than it is on 2.
Where are you looking?
So-
listen, he's been injured
you
so
can't-
many times.
You
the
can't
same
talk
way.
about the two of them in the same breath. Dembele's been garbage because between his ears he's immature. Hazard's been garbage.
but the
Hazard's been
numbers
garbage because he's been playing on one leg. Come on.
Okay,
give him a
but
break.
you are ready to give the new Hazard a chance. Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm there. Okay. Fine. I'm thinking the same way to Dembele. I think that we need to give it another chance to see what happens. But my point of view is that Ancelotti just mentioned that he wants to replace Benzema with Hazard because on the left side is Vinicius. He's not going to have many chances. In the right side probably is not his position. It's going to be Rodrigo or Valverde to give a little bit of balance to the team. But have you seen what Ancelotti's been doing in the past 6 months? He haven't made a change at all. I mean, Benzema has been playing every single game. Vinicius has been playing every single game. In the middle of the park, Kroos, Casemiro, and Modric have been playing. So he's not a manager who likes to make changes. And you are going to tell me that next season that Barcelona is getting better, Atletico Madrid is going to be once again challenging for the La Liga. Ancelotti is going to start moving. He's going to start rotating Benzema. That is the key player for next season. You cannot replace Benzema because, yes, you don't have Benzema for many more years in the same way that he played last year. So my doubt is, when is he going to replace him? The last 20 minutes, he's going to play the La Liga Cup, the Copa del Rey, or he's going to play in Champions League? The thing is, to play Hazard, you need to give him minutes. He's a player who needs to play 5-6 games to get rhythm of the competition. If you're going to play him like 20 minutes, like the way you play Asensio, it's not going to give you what you need from Hazard. He was an outstanding, one of the best players in the world for Chelsea because he was playing every single weekend. If you're going to play in 1 week, yes, the other one, no, because we need to win, and the other one, maybe because Benzema is going to start it, you're going to get the best of Eden Hazard. So I don't think, hopefully we can see, because he's one of those players that I enjoy watching. He gives you that flair, he gives you that ability on 1v1 that is special to watch. That's why people pay a ticket to see this kind of player. But I'm not sure that Ancelotti is going to give him the minute that he needs to give 100%.
God, I didn't believe Luis hated Hazard.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it. For me, he's one of the best players. I don't hate it, Steve. Trust me. I love that player. But I'm not sure. He needs to play. He's one of the players he needs to play week in and week out. And I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get those minutes with Ancelotti, because Benzema is going to be the number one to play up front.
Well, all will be revealed soon, when with La Liga kicking off next month. Real Madrid start the defence of their title away against Almeria. Meanwhile, at the Camp Nou, it's Barca against Rayo Vallecano. Just a reminder, once again, all La Liga matches will be live on ESPN Plus throughout the season. What about this from Oliver Kahn talking about Harry Kane? He's under contract with Tottenham, but he is one of the best strikers out there, and he's a dream for our future. Now we have to see how to put the team together for the current season, so we'll see what happens. It's very open, isn't it, from Oliver Kahn?
Dream's the word.
Why?
Dream on.
Why?
Well, how much is it going to cost you right now to get Harry Kane from Tottenham?
Well, he's got 2 years left in his contract.
Right. How much is it going to cost you?
A lot.
A lot.
A lot.
Bayern ain't going to pay that. Not a chance. Are Spurs going to let him go? Not a chance. I mean, they're in Dreamsville. They're dreaming. No chance. Absolutely zero chance.
Well, let's stay in Dreamsville for a second and look at it from the perspective of Harry Kane. Why not?
Right.
From the perspective of Harry Kane.
I agree with you. Why not? Guaranteed you win the Bundesliga, win a title.
And you'll be in a position where you will have a real chance of competing in Champions League and winning Champions League. It would be a different sort of challenge, it would be a different sort of experience, but he would be in one of the premier teams in Europe with an opportunity to, I think, take his career to a different level entirely because of the profile that Bayern Munich would provide to Harry Kane. Harry Kane already has a high profile to begin with. You put that together with Bayern Munich, Champions League, that sort of stage. I think for Harry Kane, why not? This would seem to make sense.
Unfortunately,
It's Dreamsville.
it's not up to Harry Kane.
Yeah.
So what Harry Kane thinks doesn't really matter.
Well,
Plus, hey,
it could be up to Harry Kane, though.
How could it be up to Harry Kane?
Well, it was up to them.
Listen, if Bayern turn around and offer 200 million and Tottenham say, you know what?
Right.
Then he'll go.
Yeah. But you go.
Bayern ain't doing that.
This time next season, he's got 1 year left on his contract. He could do what Lewandowski's just done to Bayern Munich.
Oh, so we're going to start talking about in 12 months now? Or we're talking about now?
Well, yes, Stephen,
Listen,
it's the
12
summer.
months
It's rather quiet at the moment. I
No.
don't know if you've noticed.
Well, again, if Conte decides to leave at the end of the season,
Right.
then if you're Harry Kane, it's a no-brainer
Right, to go to Bayern
to
Munich.
go to Bayern Munich.
Right.
But as far as talking now, absolute Dreamsville, no chance whatsoever.
Maybe he doesn't want to do
None.
42
Listen,
sprints.
if Bayern could afford to turn around and pay 200 million, they could have given that money to Haaland.
Right.
So,
Okay, so
they're not doing it.
So you don't think it's going to happen?
I'm sitting on the fence slightly, but I would say no.
Well, Bayern are in a bit of trouble, really, aren't they? Because they haven't got a striker now.
Yeah.
This is what Nagelsmann had to say about that situation. We have a possibility of building Bayern without a striker that can reliably score 40 goals. It's an interesting task for me and my coach staff as well as Hamidovich and Oliver Kahn. Interesting task.
Well, you just to look at Pep Guardiola. He did it.
Right?
Didn't win the Champions League, but he managed to do it. So, hey, that's why you get paid the big bucks. It's with the players they have.
Yeah.
It's possible to do it, and they're so far ahead of pretty much everybody in the Bundesliga that they'll have time to work on it. Even if it's not quite perfected for the start of the season, they've got loads of time and they've got the personnel.
How would you do
to make
it?
it work.
What would your approach be?
Well, you figure out whether it's best having Gnabry through the middle, is it best having Manny through the middle?
Right.
Do you all of a sudden turn around and go, you know what, Leroy Sané's been talking about leaving, but why don't we try him through the middle? I mean,
Okay.
they've got options to figure it out, as he said.
Meanwhile, they're looking to build from the back as well. De Ligt heavily linked to a move to Bayern, Ali. He hasn't pulled up many trees in Juventus.
Right.
Will this change in Germany?
He is a very highly thought of and sought after player that hasn't quite delivered on what we thought would be his career to this point. You would have thought that by now he would be a no-doubter at Juventus. And Juventus were choosing, up until the end of last season, when injuries kicked in for Chiellini or against Chiellini, it was Bonucci and Chiellini for life. It wasn't De Ligt. And even when De Ligt was available, there were times in which they said, no, we prefer to go in a different direction. Now, he is 22. You're assuming that at some point, well, he's grown into the player that people think that he can be. But it's about that time now. It's now. I think this is, and it's not my money, but this seems to be a whole lot of money to be thrown on a player that hasn't really delivered on the promise and the projections that we had when he left Ajax.
He was kind of the young guy, the big guy, who was going to be the next Beckenbauer or whatever you wanted, whoever you want to throw it at. You know, he was going to be the leader at such a young age. I think he was 19. He read the game so well. His positional play was fantastic.
The leadership.
Everything. I mean, you name it, everything. He was great at set pieces for and against. I mean, just every single box was ticked. He was going to. Unfortunately, sometimes people that are going to don't ever get to where they're supposed to be.
Right.
And he certainly, as far as Juventus is concerned, isn't ever going to get there, because you are not selling a 22-year-old who you think was one day going to be that good to anybody. So Bayern are spending a lot of money on a guy who might turn out to be just the guy who never quite fulfilled his real potential.
And the decision from Bayern, I think, comes from the fact that they thought they were getting something with Upamecano that did not show up last season. In fact,
I did as well. Yeah.
There were signs actually from Upamecano that were quite discouraging. And because you saw that, and you're Bayern, and you're making decisions, and you look at this lack of consistency and lack of performance, you say, well, we got to go get somebody. De Ligt seems to be the guy who fits them all. Let's go after him. How much is that going to cost us? Well, it doesn't matter, because we don't really have an answer with the next guy up, and that's Upamecano.
Meanwhile, another defender who could be making a move, Lisandro Martinez, apparently very close to being done to Manchester United from Ajax. Tell us about him, Ali.
Lisandro Martinez is a guy who can play the ball out of the bag. He's good with the ball at his feet. It's the same sort of profile of player. Think about an undersized defender like, say, Nicolas Otamendi, but not as reckless on the tackle, not as disorganized, and better on the ball. He is a physical defender, although undersized, but when he goes on the challenge, he is willing to go and try to be as physically as he can possibly be. The problem is, on the turn, I think with bigger attackers, he's going to struggle. With the physicality, in those sort of matchups, he's going to struggle. He makes up for that with speed and with reading the game. I think he's an upgrade to what they had available. I just don't know that undersized characteristic of his game is one that is going to be exposed in the Premier League.
He's the same size as me, Stevie.
That's not good. Listen, I'm a little worried for United, because the only things that I hear anybody talking about this guy is how good he is with the ball.
Right.
And they signed a guy in Harry Maguire who, that's all he talks about. He's as good as anybody coming out the back with the ball at his feet. And we find ourselves in a position where Harry Maguire, it almost feels as though his career's either going to start again or he's going to fall off the edge of a cliff. So yes, I worry about this guy physically. I worry about whether he reads the game quick enough, or he'll read it quick enough the Premier League, because he did it in Eredivisie, and we've just been talking about De Ligt, who in the Eredivisie was absolutely having a cigar.
I like the way you're saying Eredivisie.
You say it again.
Yeah, it's quite nice,
Eredivisie.
You're really bringing it.
Defending in the Eredivisie compared to the Premier League.
Right.
Do you like Premier League?
No.
Is two different things.
Right.
So, potential, yes. I'm not quite sure whether he's ready for the Premier League or whether he ever will be.
But he's not going to grow, right?
No,
well, I'm still hoping.
So that's not going to change. Now, it doesn't mean that he cannot be an effective defender.
No, it doesn't. No, absolutely not.
You can still be an effective defender,
Yes.
even though you may be undersized or you may be smaller of what we think to be a center back. But there are going to be certain challenges that he's not going to be able to meet.
Right.
So winning a 50-50 challenge on the ball, on the fly, well, that's not his strength. There's going to be other things that he's going to do well for Manchester United. That's not one of them.
Just a reminder to keep up to date with all the latest transfer news as and when it breaks. Be sure to go over to Transfer Talk over on the website. Tell you what, goals galore today in Euro 2022. To take us through exactly what happened, let's go over to Seb, Danielle and Emma.
Thank you very much, Dan. The last day of Group C action certainly delivered, and it delivered lots of goals. Sweden, 5-0 winners over Portugal. Meanwhile, Netherlands, 4-1 victors over Switzerland as Group C goes out with a bang. It'll be the Swedes and the Dutch advancing. Joining me here in studio, Danielle Slayton, Emma Hayes. What was the word we were looking for today?
I don't know.
Drama!
Oh,
drama! We were looking
Why
for
didn't
drama.
you say?
And it definitely delivered. Let's show you the final group standings, although I don't think this will really paint the picture of exactly what went down. It looks very calm right there. Sweden, Netherlands, clearly the two best teams in this group. But with about 15 minutes to go in this game, the Dutch, who, by the way, are the defending champions, were on the verge, on the cusp, some might say, of going out of this competition. Let's get to the highlights, because the Swiss, who are underdogs, got off to a super fast start. Sandy Menley here is going to get a shot off and draws a great save from Daphne van Domselaar.
I mean, let's talk about this young goalkeeper coming. What performance she's had.
Goalie's really the story of the day. Lynette Berenstein here for Netherlands into the box. At first they called this a penalty. Thank goodness for VAR. For the first time we've said that, Danielle.
Yeah, the referee gets this one right as she reviews it. Goalkeeper makes contact with the ball. Van Domselaar, Tallman, both of these goalkeepers had fantastic games here today.
0-0 into the second half, 49th minute. Here's the breakthrough. Anna Maria Crnogorcevic, the own goal.
I mean, how many times the teams have to deal with Van der Gracht not doing it at all well?
Bachmann here, creating for the Swiss. Geraldine Reuteler, 1-1. Danielle, fantastic response.
And you absolutely love that they concede on that goal and then immediately respond with the equalizer.
They nearly got the go-ahead goal here. Another big save from Van Domselaar, Emma.
I think that's the game-changing moment, because from there on in, changes were made from Mark Parson. Had that gone in, it would have been a very interesting 30 minutes.
1-1 at that point. Switzerland only needing a goal to knock Netherlands out of the competition and clinch their spot in the quarterfinals. Wow, another big save from Van Domselaar. And finally, the Dutch, they get a little bit of breathing room here. Luchter was one of those changes, Emma.
Well, I mean, great play from Wilmsonne, but this player here, Luchter, came into the game, made a huge difference to this Dutch front line.
Giving Van Domselaar a lot of love. Tallman as well. Big save there, touching it off the post. Did she get a piece? Yep.
The piece right there. But it really, I mean, late in the match, the story of this game really was the changes that the Dutch side made. It was Luchter, it was Palova. I mean, how about the youngsters just coming in, bringing energy, bringing enthusiasm, even when offsides, and they did get called offside a few times, they were active in and around the box.
Yeah, again, thank goodness for VAR. It intervenes here. The goal stands. So 3-1 at that point to the Dutch, and then they'd add another one a little bit later in stoppage time. It's Luchter again. This is a player you really like, Emma.
I think she's a superb talent. I think she's what the Dutch is missing down the middle in Miedemar's absence. I think Berenstein is not a natural 9 filling in that role, and Mark Parsons has some tough decisions to make.
Netherlands through to the quarterfinals, where they will meet France. Let's talk about, let's get to the next highlight. It is Sweden against Portugal. Boy, the Swedes coming off a good win against Switzerland, 2-1. In the 21st minute, they get their first goal. Felipe Angadal tucks it in, Emma.
I mean, great delivery into a good area where Portugal keep their entire team inside the 6-yard box, which just opens the second phase for Angadal.
45th minute. Another chance for the Swedes and another goal. It's Angadal again.
It's not a corner kick, but run much like a corner kick. Aslani just driving a perfect ball. Angadal with the brace on the day. More
stoppage time success for the Swedes at the near post. This one counts as an own goal. Carol Costa, the final touch. Into the second half. Sweden pretty much at this point in the driver's seat, but not taking their foot off the gas. Penalty awarded to Sweden. Kosovari Aslani steps up. Wow.
She was a real bright spot. So many areas, obviously, finishing that penalty kick here, but a real player for them here tonight.
The fifth for Sweden in second half stoppage time. Stina Blackstenius, Emma, what a finish. I
thought she too had a wonderful game. Thoroughly deserved this type of goal. And they just, clear winners.
Sweden 5-0 over Portugal as one of the tournament favorites seems to hit their full stride. Here's a look at the quarterfinals. England, Spain, Germany, Austria, France, Netherlands set. Sweden will find out who they'll play in the quarterfinal tomorrow when we find out who comes out of Group D as the runner-up. All right, we'll focus first on Netherlands. What do they have to do to make a deep run here in what's left of the tournament based on what you saw today?
Mark Parsons got big decisions. His top senior players are not playing well. And I think that Roord, Van der Donk, Martins, all, may face sitting on the bench going into the quarterfinals. Big call for him to make, though.
Same question to you, Danielle, but for Sweden, what do they need to do to make a run?
They need to keep the momentum going. They made some of those changes here today. I think we'll see a very similar lineup for Sweden as they head into the quarterfinals, but you want to be playing your best football as you head into the knockout stages, and Sweden has gotten progressively better each game.
Peter Gerhardsson making the big decision. Carolyn Sager putting her on the bench, but so far it's worked out for the Swedes as they win 5-0 and go top of Group C. Group D will wrap up tomorrow. France, we already know, they're through to the quarterfinals. Who will join them? Italy, Belgium. Coverage starts at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN2. Iceland and France, that one on ESPN+. Dan, back to you.
More from the Women's Euros on the next edition of the show. Be sure to join us. Be sure to stay tuned. Extra Time is next. Luis is back to answer your questions, of course, with Ali and the influencer that is Steve Nicol as well.
Philanthropist.
Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. Thank you as always for your tweets. Ali and Stevie with me here in this studio. And a man who surely has accrued more flight miles than anyone else over the last few months, Luis. You've been everywhere, mate. Last week you got Singapore, Bangkok, Scotland.
Yeah, we've been around, but it was always a pleasure. We went to Glasgow to play a competition, a Legends game, so we had a good fun. And then I flew to Bangkok as ambassador for Liverpool on the pre-season tour. And then from Bangkok, we went to Singapore, as you well mentioned, to see Liverpool play against Crystal Palace. And then back to Manchester, Ibiza, where I'm staying right now. And yeah, this is a nice place to be.
Oh, nice.
Holy smokes.
I know, it's not bad, is it? But you're in your Ibiza place now. Is that right, Luis?
No, he's in Manchester.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm here in Ibiza. Yes.
Yeah, because I
to rest a little bit.
I remember the things behind you from last year, because there's one on the right, which is nice, and then the one on your left looks like it's got smashed in the sea, and you tried to glue it all back together. Yeah, exactly. Oh, I remember those.
I'll change it. I'll change it next time.
Ah, no, that's all right. And then what's in the white thing? It's like a treasure chest thing.
It's kind of a treasure thing. That's something that my missus bought just to try to look like that, like curious. What is inside there? I don't have a clue what is inside there.
It's exciting.
Oh, damn.
Does it?
You know, sometimes when you ask those questions, you gotta be careful. You don't know what's in that vase.
Yeah, imagine Ali, that. Yeah, you never know.
You do not know what's in that vase.
I'm willing. I'm willing to walk that line.
Hey, what could be in it?
Does it really matter how much a club pays for a transfer of a player? We look at it sometimes like we're paying from our own pockets, but as long as they can balance their books, it shouldn't be an issue, Stephen.
Well, I think it matters. I think it matters. Absolutely matters. It's sort of, I guess the price is supposed to reflect the talent you're buying.
Right.
So,
but it's not your money.
No. But I guess the questions that we're always asked is you worth the money? And again, it's does his talent, is it worth paying that amount of money? That's kind of what we do, right?
Well, we do a lot of things.
Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, as long as you've got it, unless you're Barcelona and you don't have it, you start throwing it around.
Yeah. Speaking of Barcelona, Luis with Barcelona making the money appear and getting Lewandowski, how excited are you to see Benzema against Lewandowski in El Clasico?
No, oh wow, that's a fantastic clash, I think, between two amazing players. Hopefully, Lewandowski can fit well in this 11 for Xavi. I think he's gonna do very well with players around him who can make him play, who can bring and deliver him good balls. But El Clásico this year is gonna bring up, and I think it was easy to mention. La Liga needed this. The El Clásico needed this. A fantastic clash between two amazing players, and this year we're gonna enjoy a Benzema, Lewandowski fight. Hopefully, Barcelona can win, of course, but at least we can enjoy a great clash. Yeah.
I think it's October 24th.
Okay.
Is the first Clasico.
Are we floating out that date to the decision makers in our department?
I am available.
So am I.
Ali, given Barca's current financial situation, would you have signed for them when you were in your prime? How low of a wage would you be willing to accept?
Well, I would have been great for them. 0.00. Yes, hey guys, I'll pay you to let me play.
Yeah,
I would have been great for them. What a get!
What a get!
What a get! This guy will pay us money to play for you.
We saw, didn't we, on Friday's show, Craig shared an inspirational message with us. In the background, he had a frame written in it, "Just be you."
That had nothing to do with him whatsoever.
Well, thanks for that. Did you have any source of inspiration that you turned to as a professional footballer?
Oh,
wow. Luis, who was your kind of your role model, your mentor?
Yeah. My mentor, as a coach, it was Rafa Benitez. My idol was Michael Laudrup. And one of those phrases that I think the guys, Rohit is mentioning, it was no pain, no gain. When you put everything, it is true that it's going to hurt. But at the end, you can go through those situations. You're going to become better, stronger, whatever it is, if it's in a moment of struggle. So, yeah, I used to be like that, trying to be always focused and try to get better.
No pain, no gain?
Do what you do. Don't focus on what everybody else thinks that you should be doing, what your job should be, how you should be doing, whether you should look good doing it. Don't try to please everybody else. Just do what you do and do it well.
Just be you.
Something like that. Something like that.
Stephen?
Not when I was playing.
Right.
When I look back now and I think about it, I guess something that I always thought was, I think it was Joe Fagan that said it once. Make sure whatever you do, the next thing you do is the best you can.
Okay.
And if you stick to that, then every time you do something, you try and do it the best you can.
Do what you do, by the way, became the mantra for. Sorry, Stevie.
That makes sense, doesn't it?
Well, that does make sense, Steve, yeah.
Ended up being the mantra for the Columbus Crew in 2008.
Oh, what happened in 2008, Ali?
But to the point to where it's actually written in our championship rings, in the inside of the rings. Do what you do.
There you go.
And I look at it every night. Before I go to bed.
I've seen some clips of Nunez during pre-season, Luis. Should Liverpool fans be concerned?
No, not at all. Not at all. What I realize is that it's true that he's going to have to work harder because Liverpool plays in a very different way than the way he was playing for Benfica. Benfica was playing for him. He was ready to receive the ball in those spaces, to make quick transition. He's quick, he's strong. He's a player who it's very clever. Awareness, football intelligence is fantastic. But after all that, he has to track back. He has to press. And when he started playing, at the moment I saw him play in the last in the two games against United and against Crystal Palace, and he struggled. He wants to show that he's going to be ready to play, to press that high pressure that Liverpool is doing with Jurgen Klopp. But after 3-4 runs, it was just too much. He felt tired. When you're tired, and the guys will tell you, and you're not fresh. When you receive the ball, the legs don't follow. Your head is telling you to do something, but the legs don't follow. And he had a few chances, good chances, clear chances, but I think it's because he was tired. I mean, this player have trained with this team just 3 sessions. That's it. 3 sessions to play against Man United. They had 10 sessions already against Crystal Palace. That he was decent, but he played only 30 minutes. So I think this player, the movements, the way that he plays is going to give a lot. But they need to wait. He needs to become physically ready to play at the level and the intensity that Liverpool plays.
Luis, can you share about your experience playing in India? You've been the marquee player for the champions of the inaugural season. How was the overall experience for you?
For me, it was fantastic. I mean, arriving there, I wasn't expecting to see such a passionate supporters. The league has been growing so much. For us that year, it was special to see the culture of India, to play in those amazing stadiums. Kerala, I remember, it was fantastic. We had the chance of winning it against Kerala in the final in Mumbai. But what it was more important for me is that we were there just to be a little bit the mentors of the Indian players. And the league has been growing so much in the past 6-7 years. We were 8 teams, and now they are playing 11. Now the league is becoming, it was 3 months and a half, now it's 6-7 months. So I think that was the most important, to see that the young talents from India they had someone in front to learn with and to keep going. And now I can see an Indian national team getting stronger. So that was the main thing for us. And in the personal perspective, it was fantastic the time that we were there.
Final question. Since Stevie is now a social media influencer
And a philanthropist.
Yeah, philanthropist.
Yes.
Oh, first
Took the
time.
chance there.
I did as well.
Will Stevie now be handling the social media account for all of ESPN FC? And would that be a disaster since it would be nothing but videos and pictures of shepherd's pies? You're not really on social media anymore, are you?
I'm not on it at all.
No.
Zero.
But still people send me pictures of shepherd's pies for some reason that they've made or they're eating.
You just pass it on to me.
It's a
then, Dan.
yeah, great. That's what I love with my notifications.
Yes, keep them coming. Keep the shepherd's pie pictures to Dan coming, everybody, and I will get them.
I think it
after
could be a bit of a hindrance, your career as a social media influencer, if you're not on social media.
Yes.
Well, I had to get off. I just didn't have time.
That's it, it's just too much.
It was too much.
Too many offers.
I'm actually catching up on what was sent, and
Yes.
once I do that, I'll get back on.
Yeah.
Because you were busy as a philanthropist.
Yes.
Well, there's only so many hours in a day.
That's it. Luis, where's your next journey to? Where's the next flight?
No, actually, I'm gonna stay here for a few days. We'll continue working from home a little bit, but no, just chilling a little bit, at least for another 10 days.
Just going out in San Antonio, yeah, Luis?
Oh, okay.
No, I'm going to Formentera. I prefer Formentera.
San Antonio is where all the English people go in Ibiza.
Is that a place that you've been to?
I have been there, yes. It's a lot of fun. Now I'm here. That's it, ESPN FC.
This is not as much fun. 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 This is not as much fun.